today I'm so excited to announce our official platinum sponsor, Tarek. Take it away, Zach.
Hi, Research Week. I'm Zach, the founder of Tarek. We're incredibly excited to be sponsoring Research Week in a big way this year and are appreciative of learners and the broader research community for welcoming us with open arms. When we started Tarek about a year ago, we spent dozens, if not hundreds of hours talking to researchers in different disciplines, different team sizes, and across the world. Regardless of budgets or what a team looked like, one thing remained consistent throughout all those conversations. People wanted higher quality participants to power the research that you all do. We built Tarek from the ground up with an AI-first approach, introducing things like conversational profiling and AI-led screening that elicit more from participants so we can catch fraud before it reaches you. I'm excited to meet everyone this week, and whether you're in person or virtual, I'd love to connect and learn more about the work that you're doing. Excited for this week, and go learners. See everyone soon.
Research got fragmented. Recruitment here, testing there, analysis somewhere else. For years, teams stitched it together because they had to. But stitching isn't a strategy. User testing brought together the two foundations of modern research: deep audience access and powerful testing infrastructure. One system. Recruit, test, synthesize, share. This isn't a stack. It's infrastructure. Fewer vendors, fewer contracts, less friction, more clarity. Embedded where you work. When recruitment and insight live together, decisions move faster, helping you create and build what your customers want with confidence.
Your research data is spread across everywhere and every team. So you end up losing important insights and find yourself repeating the same research you did only a few months ago. What a pain in the brass! But it doesn't have to be this way. Meet Marvin. With Marvin, you can store all your user feedback, like interviews, surveys, support tickets, sales calls, and reports in one place. Marvin comes with unbelievably powerful AI that helps you connect the dots across all your customer research. Think of it as your own AI research assistant. Create a research repository that empowers everyone, not just the researchers, to find the answers the way they want, when they want them. No more wasting time and resources resurrecting old research. All this while keeping your data secure and hiding your participants' private info. Want to make better decisions based on user research? Sign up for a demo today.
honestly have hydrated us and provided the most comfortable furniture you have ever seen. Moritz, take it away.
Thanks, Alec. And good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you coming out here for Research Week Day 3. I'm excited to have you here. And yeah, it's been great. I hope you're not too tired from all the meaningful conversations and happy hours. I'm Moritz, founding member of the TEREC team in charge of panel operations. And it's just great to see where the space is headed. I think AI is really transforming a lot. On one hand, the speed to insight, but also on the other hand, how easy it is to cheat and increase the fraud on panels. So if you're excited to talk about panel quality or just want to say hi, stop by our booth. I think it's hard to miss. Yeah, enjoy the last day.
Amazing. And it wouldn't be Research Week if we weren't also focused not just on learning, but making new friends. So once again, for the third and final time, please welcome my good friend Eric Olesen to do a little icebreaker with us to kick off the day.
Thank you, Alex. I love that there were a couple of people seated at 9, and I'd like to think that they knew that I was coming, and that's why they were here. So thank you, those of you in the front rows. Some of you may already have picked up on this, but the activities we've been playing together are little games. I learned them in my training as a theatrical improviser. And the key idea behind these games is that we have to learn how to share control. As an improviser, when you go on stage, you can't have like one idea that you're going to force through. You also can't be completely passive and just let your partner do all the performing. You have to do it together. I think that skill is going to be even more important in a world where you all run like 15 AI agents that are independently, autonomously doing work. We have to understand how to share control and let go of some of our control in that world to kind of expand what we're capable of doing. So in our last round, we're going to take that concept of shared creation, shared control, slightly to the next level. As always, to begin, please stand up, find someone that you don't know that well, introduce yourself, and when I try to get your attention back, please give me your attention back. All right, find a friend.
So good to meet you. How are you? I'm Alec. Do we have...
Can I look at the camera? All right, if you're just arriving, find a friend, and once you have your friend, turn your attention back to Alec and I on stage. This is how it's going to go. Partner A, raise your hand. One of you, raise your hand. You're going to be partner A. Perfect. Partner A, you're going to kick things off. And here's the premise. You and your newfound friend are actually lifelong friends. You go way back. You've been friends for like 10, 15 years, and amazingly, you ran into each other at the festival. You're so excited. You have so many shared memories that you are going to relive together. And the way that you will remember these memories is one sentence at a time. So partner A, you will kick things off just by saying, remember that time when, and you'll finish that sentence. Partner B will continue that memory by saying, yes, and add the next sentence that's part of the memory. There are 2 rules. 1, you always respond with yes and. 2, you are both having a good time in this memory, okay? Those are the only rules. So Alec and I are going to demonstrate. I'll kick us off, and you just go yes and add whatever comes to mind. Doesn't have to be funny, witty, just obvious. Okay, remember that time when we went on a bike ride?
Yes, and do you remember that time we did a couples cruise in the Bahamas together?
Yes, and on the cruise, there was actually a really lovely DJ.
Yes, and we ate shellfish and got very sick.
Yes, and as we were so lucky that there was a doctor on the boat who took care of us, and we felt healed.
Yes, but I felt a little concerned about his credentials.
I'm going to use Alec as a great example. What are some things he did wrong?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Did you hear it? It was subtle. What did he say? Yes, but, right? It has to be yes and. We're not going to create
Am I kicked out of the conference now? Do I have to leave?
No, you get to
leave
stay.
the building? Oh,
yeah. But anyway, the idea is to stay within one memory.
Okay.
Just add more detail to it. Say yes and. Force yourself to accept whatever your partner gave you and go with that. Okay, go ahead. We're going to do it on our own. You do it on your own. When I call for your attention, please give it to me. Go ahead. Start.
I mean, maybe you're not as like whatever. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, like we're on it,
yeah,
right? Yeah. But it takes like 15% to set. It's very cool. That's a very good one. Yeah, so like this.
I'm just going to say goodbye and thank you, and then hand it to you, and then I'll get off the stage so you can do your job. All right, finish up that memory. Maybe say the last sentence. Some of you have the urge to high-five your partner. Give in to it. If you feel like high-fiving your partner, that might be what you need to kind of wrap things up. And then please have a seat, and thank you very much.
Before I hand things off and we start the program, especially for those of you who have been here for all 3 days, please join me in the most heartfelt and biggest, warmest round of applause and thank you to Eric for spending his mornings with us, helping us make more friends. We love you. Thank you so much, Eric. And we'll see you at our next Everything to Lead Every Day with Friendship. All right, I think we are about ready to kick off this program. You must all know who is leading this program. His name is Judd Anton. We are so fortunate, come on up here. We're so fortunate to work with him at Learners. He's been a staple of all of our events for like the last, I don't even know how long. And I'm gonna get out of your way now.
Thanks, boss.
Look.
My manager, everybody. Alec Levin. How are you? I'm so glad to see you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Up, Up, and Away. I'm so excited to see you all here, not least because like 30 minutes ago, it was super empty. And we are like, oh, right, everyone's social batteries. Like, are you literally hungover or are you just socially hungover? And if it's both, that's awesome. So congratulations. But I can understand this conference is a lot. Like I was trying to describe what we wanted for Research Week, and the best I could come up with was like, imagine like a ballroom research conference plus Coachella. Except I'm old, so I've never been to Coachella. So I'm like, I don't know, Lollapalooza, Lilith Fair, Woodstock, I don't know. I'm from the 1900s. Doesn't matter. I'm Judd Anton. I'm the CPO at Learners, and I'm your host this morning. I'm so happy to be here to have the easiest job of maybe anyone this week. I just explained to Julie, this session is 4% me and 96% my amazing guests. I have 3 amazing leaders here to do all the hard work today. We've got Reeba Gray, Head of Research at FAIR. Yes. We've got Jess Hullbrook, Head of Research at Microsoft AI. And we've got Hannah Pledgy, most recently leading research at Duolingo. And we'll get their stories and we'll get their advice. This session is a little bit different. You probably realized it already. It's basically a talk show. We're going to hear from our guests, and then we'll have a break. And then after the break, you'll have a chance to ask questions and talk to them a little bit more in conversation. So we're going to be in conversation all morning, but that's the first thing. The second thing about this session that's a little different is we will not be talking about AI. And yeah, you can cheers for that. No. And honestly, if I'm honest, it feels a little dangerous to say we're not talking about AI because the gallery behind us is full of our amazing sponsors, mostly AI companies. Hi, thank you, we love you. Thank you, but we didn't set it up this way on purpose, and if you're on the live stream, you can't see that, but those of you at the chairs had to walk a literal gauntlet of AI companies in order to arrive here. Like, if I'm honest, I'm not sure everybody made it, So, moment of silence for the people we lost. But really, it's not like we're making a brave choice. Actually, I just think we decided to go kind of retro. Like this feels kind of like the slow food movement of Research Week, local, traditional ingredients. Have any of you ever worked with a PM, let's say a PM, who thinks research that's like 6 weeks old is hopelessly out of date? Yep. We've all, sit down and let me mansplain you how fast everything is moving in the age of AI, couldn't possibly be relevant if it came from last week. And I just, always want to slap those PMs. That's it. I just want to slap them, really. But what I mean is, technology is changing fast, but the last time I checked, we're still people, and people haven't really changed at all. I love that we're all worried about AI, replacing us and copying us. Meanwhile, last night, my father-in-law took the TV remote to the bathroom with him and left it there. Good luck. Good luck with that, AI. Claude gets a weekly upgrade, but we haven't changed our software in 100,000 years. We're still stubborn and irrational and contradictory and anxious and biased. Well, not us, obviously, but our partners for sure. And somebody's got to fucking deal with them, So that's our subject. We are here to talk about humans this morning and about the work that the AI will never do, sorry. So this is a job security session. This is the thing that will keep us employed. I feel really optimistic about that. The theme for today is real stories of influence in relationships. And the dirty secret of the world of AI is that AI by itself doesn't do shit, right? It doesn't make for better insights or better products or better businesses. It's the human that does that. It's you. There are so many sessions that are about, have titles like, research methods in the age of AI, but nobody has sessions with titles like how to get through to the eng manager who thinks your whole job is dumb, Or how do you tell the CEO that the product feedback they heard from their mom is wrong? There's no AI for the part where you've been saying for a whole month that the strategy is off and nobody listened, and now the whole product's a massive flop. There's no framework, there's no cheat code. That's messy work, fundamentally human and messy work. And that's why we've got Hannah and Jess and Reeba here, 3 leaders who have been there at every level, talking to us about what it really takes for researchers to be in the driver's seat, to build trust and strong relationships and influence, stories of successes and failures, what they learned, candid advice for all of us leaders here. And I say that really intentionally. I teach a leadership course at UC Berkeley, and the thing I say on day 1 is everyone is a leader. An intern can be an incredible leader, and the CEO can be a terrible one. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Leadership is about helping groups of people do more together than they could do apart. And in this audience, we have researchers at every stage of career, and we're all leaders. Influence and relationships are things that make or break us and our leadership now more than ever. And so we as leaders have a lot to learn from our panel today. I'm so grateful to these three folks. It's a dumpster fire out there, and dumpster firefighting is what it takes. So I'm excited to learn more about that from our amazing guests. Anybody interested in doing that? Yeah, all right, cool. Me too, me too. All right, so quick reminder, we're gonna hear from each of our guests one by one, just in a casual interview. And then we'll take a quick break. Please be careful if you go to the bathroom. You might get trapped in like a 30-minute conversation about agentic workflows or MCPs or blah, 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 blah. So if you care about the human side of it, please come back to us after the break, and you'll have a chance to be in conversation with our amazing guests. Okay, so let's get the show rolling. I want to welcome our first amazing guest forever, Reeba to me, Reeba Gray, Head of Research at FAIR.
Hey.
Hi, Reeba.
Hi.
Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. This is a talk show. We do that. Have a
Yeah.
seat.
I love that you said it's a dumpster fire out there.
Am I wrong?
I relate to that.
Was that your line?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I have stolen a bunch of your lines.
You have?
I have. So you and I have known each other for a long time. I was trying to remember, like, I think, shout out to Cliff Lampy
And Nicole
at
Ellison.
Michigan State, maybe? Do you
Yeah.
introduce us?
I came to visit you on the Facebook campus in like 2012, I think, and we had lunch. There's a really geeky picture of us.
I mean, they're all geeky pictures. of
They're
us,
all
let's be
geeky
honest.
pictures. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, but that's cool. So what have you been doing since 2012? Give us the short version of your career. You've had a chance to go back and forth between kind of IC and managerial roles a couple times.
Yep. So I sometimes joke that I'm an academic escapee because I was in a PhD program when we met, and we had a relationship with the core data science team at Meta. And so that's kind of was my foot in the door to understanding different kinds of applied research, and basically disappointed my advisor tremendously when I let him know I wasn't going to be pursuing professorships. And so, yeah, I went to Facebook initially, worked there for a few years, and was as an IC, and then from there kind of essentially went to smaller and smaller companies for a little bit, where it felt like there was more blank space for researchers to impact what was being shaped and also answer big questions. And so I did my first management role there, and then eventually went to my next company as the first researcher, then responsible for growing the research team. So. And then now, yeah, I'm at FAIR, where I started as a senior IC and since have returned as the head of the research team.
So you're like a professional at both types of influence, the IC type and the manager type. I love that. I'm calling you a professional. Just own it. Your eyes say, like, wait, you called me what? It's great.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's what I want to ask you first, because one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like one great thing about your approach to relationships and influence is that I feel like you are generous. Like, you want to be generous. You want to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I think that's, to some extent, it's come from some experiences where I had a different experience than maybe someone else did. You know, what's something that's hard when you're starting to work with new people, or you're joining a new team or something like that, is you don't always have a lot of context on how that person operates, where you might find sticking points with them, where you're going to be well aligned. And so I've had a couple experiences actually where my predecessors graciously warned me about someone to watch out for. And you know, in some cases it takes a lot of work to, like, you can actually make a big impact in bringing that relationship to a better place than you expected. And in some cases you have an entirely different relationship with that individual, just because you're different people and you're starting from a different place.
Thinking about anybody in particular, Reeba?
Yeah, there's one person in particular who I had just started managing at Airbnb, and a couple people actually had said, there's the engineering director on this team is the worst. He is going to make your life difficult. Don't take it personally. He's just really rough. Yeah, and he doesn't like, he will dissect and just, you know, put down any research that comes in front of him in particular forums. So just like, don't worry about him, you know?
Were you like dreading it when everybody was like, watch out for this guy? Were you like, rut-row?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like, it's one thing to have to deal with stakeholders just that are your individual stakeholders, like the engineering manager you're working with or the PM, but it's another thing entirely also to move into a management role where the obstinance or the lack of traction you have with someone doesn't just impact you, it impacts the success of your team. So for me, I was like, oh God, if this person is blocking me and my team from being impactful, like how does this work, you know?
Yeah.
So it didn't really seem like something that I could just ignore entirely. And then I got to see firsthand what they were all talking about. And it was the situation where, so I was on a product leadership team where different sub-teams from this team would come in and they would present things for review. It could either be an experiment that they were hoping to drive, or it could be a team vision. And what would happen in this meeting is that this guy, who was very early at the company, very precocious, he would just tear it to shreds, and the like energy would get sucked out of the room, and you're just like, oh my God, this is awful.
I feel like we can all relate that to a degree. Like people who think tearing something apart is the secret to seeming smart or influential.
Yeah, and you would just also see like like teams would leave more confused than they came in and with less clarity than they came in, and that's the opposite of what should be happening.
Right.
And then certainly I was also seeing like, you know, researchers were trying to work with their PM and design partners to like showcase a finding here or there, and in some cases like he would specifically home in on those things and be like, but that won't work, like we've tried that before, you know, just kind of like. And he also had the most tenure of the different leaders on the team. There was a relatively new design director, and so his voice just carried more weight, certainly more than mine.
Okay, so you observe this bad behavior.
Yeah.
And now it's time to parachute in there and like try to figure out this relationship. Like what happened?
So something I tried that was more successful than I expected was trying to use his weakness in my favor, to my benefit, and essentially
diabolical.
So because he was so pedantic and could tell you everything that wasn't going to work about something, I had a team member who had been working on a pretty big study related to kind of navigation patterns and some different ways of thinking about information architecture for how this part of the site worked. And it was really compelling, and I knew if we tried to just insert a few slices of this into that kind of scenario or environment, or kind of bring it in front of him, that he was just going to shit all over it, essentially. And so I pulled him aside, and at a one-on-one I said, hey, there's someone on my team who's working on something, and I think there's really a there. You would be one of the best people to look at this and help us figure out like what about this is viable, what will work and what won't work, and help her make some adjustments to the framing, so that when she brings this to this forum where we're all going to talk about it, she's better set up for success. And so he was like, cool, sure. Have her set up a one-on-one with my admin. So I had her set up a one-on-one with the admin, and he sat down with her, and she went through the report. And this was the most he'd ever looked at a research artifact ever, I think. And so they essentially talked through it, and he got excited about it. And not only did that enable her to get some really good feedback that actually did make what she was suggesting feel more technically feasible and grounded in language that would resonate with him, but he also inadvertently became a sponsor of the work.
Yeah, he took some ownership of the work himself, even if he didn't mean to.
Yeah, and he honestly, he brought it up. He would bring it up in other team contexts and meetings. He actually shared specific things that he remembered seeing from that deck. And so I honestly was very, I thought it went better than it could have, and I think that was like one step on the way. But he still was the same guy.
Yeah.
in the team meetings. Like
Yeah.
he still shat all over everyone, everything else
Yeah.
that was happening. So it wasn't the end of that. Like there was also work that I had to do to try to see how we could impact the vibe that he was bringing and
Yeah.
the work to that space.
Okay, but what I love about this story is that you're saying, like, sure, you got warned, but you didn't take it for granted, or that the right way to start was in that toxic place.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty nervous about him in general, and I think that what I've tried to do in those situations is run toward it versus away from it, and I think also this taught me to be a little bit more optimistic going into these situations, because he actually responded better in a couple different scenarios to feedback that I gave or to things that I asked him to help me do. And I think I tried to help in some ways kind of say like, hey, I need you to help me be successful. Can you help me with these specific things? And and he responded well in some contexts better than others. And so it just kind of was like, okay, I'm not gonna go in by default and assume that this person sucks entirely. They might just suck more in certain
More
contexts than others,
specifically
and I
sucks,
can help
yeah.
them suck a little bit less in ways that impact me and my team. Yeah.
Most people suck specifically, not generally, I would say.
I think so. There are definitely some people that suck more generally, but yeah, I would say specific. Yeah.
Is this being live streamed? No. Okay, never mind. Yeah. No. You know, I feel like some people might hear the story. I feel like it's such a powerful technique you're sharing, where you find a way to give ownership. Is it gross? I feel like somebody is thinking, but that's so gross and manipulative. Do you look at it? Do you think that's true?
No, I think if anything, honestly, I think about a little bit of a different fear that I've had is, like, I don't want to seem like I want to have power in a situation too, and I also want to appeal myself to this person and be like, I need your help. But I think, so I've wondered at certain moments, like, how can I do this and still not sacrifice my sense of like pride in my capability and make it seem like we really need this person? I think that's more of my concern. And I think that I've also gotten better at doing these things, and each new scenario that I encounter, I think it kind of just starting a relationship off on a slightly different foot.
Yeah, I love it. Like, we need this person. We got to find a way to turn him. Like, you're doing it for yourself and your influence, but also for the team.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm mindful of too is I also didn't want to, for my team member that had this work, she's an excellent researcher. Yeah. We don't really need this person to help make the work that much better. Like, it was genuinely a good project. And strong insights and recommendations. But I think there's a little bit of finding out the right way to navigate this by saying like, hey, help me make this thing better. It's more like, there's something really compelling there. Help me find the right way to make this work. You know, give us your honest objections.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So I love that you take it, your advice is like, take an optimistic approach. But I wonder if, like, have you ever found yourself trying to build a new relationship, trying to build that influence, and like maybe you got it wrong? You know what I mean? Like, you misjudged the relationship. You thought it was going to be one way, and then it was a different way. You thought it was going to be great, and then it was terrible.
I've had situations where I can think of a couple where it was essentially that I thought the relationship was in a really strong place. I presumed that things were healthy and going well. And evidence suggested that to be the case. For example, at one place I worked, you know, I was getting really high performance ratings, getting promoted, being asked to bring work in front of the board. And getting Slack messages like, hey, this is great. Can we bring this to this place or that place, right? So from everything I could tell, things seemed, you know, like they were PG.
Happy place, yeah.
But then something happens and you realize like maybe you're not getting all the feedback that you thought you should be.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what seemed sort of so happy on the surface actually kind of hid some things you were not hearing?
Yeah, so in this one specific case at this company, I was leading the team, and again, like, things seemed to be going well, but there was also a little bit of a backdrop at the time with the company where, you know, they had grown really aggressively when there was a lot of, you know, economic tailwind and everything, and you're essentially, you know, growing really fast, and then all of a sudden things aren't growing as fast, but you've really projected a lot, you've taken on more capital, and all of a sudden there's economic stress.
Right.
People at the company are kind of being silently disappeared versus, you know, the company just kind of saying like, oops, we grew too much and we're going to conscientiously lay off.
Right.
It's more like you go to message someone and they're deactivated in Slack kind of vibe.
Well, now they'll just say that it's because of AI, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's not our bad planning. So yeah, in this case, like I was aware that there was a lot of stress, and a lot of that stress was actually being externalized from the highest level out to other people. And I was hearing through the grapevine about certain functional managers kind of getting a little bit of a shakedown. Like, you need to make sure your team is working harder. Like, even though you have unlimited PTO, make sure your team isn't taking too much PTO. But again, I thought I was sitting pretty, right? Because like I had all this stuff that was going really well.
Access.
We had just landed. After months and months of trying to sell the need for a customer segmentation, we had just finally ended that engagement, and we're using that. And then I had this like a peer of mine mention to me like, hey, you know, there's another member of the team who wants to know a little bit more about how you're prioritizing your roadmap and would like to be involved in how you're planning for next year.
So is that like, when you hear that, is that like the giant red warning klaxon? You're like...
It is now. I think at the time, I did still ask some questions like, oh, you know, where's this coming from? But I think at that, if I heard that now, like, hey, someone wants to be a little bit more involved in your planning process next time, I would like kind of drop everything and investigate
You know what that means now.
Because it means that this other person who's my peer is telling me something. They're probably euphemizing it, first of all. They're probably putting it in a nicer way. And someone else has said, what the hell is the research team doing over there, and why haven't they done this thing for me? Or why hasn't it happened fast enough? And the other thing it means is I'm not getting direct feedback. And who else is that person sharing that sentiment with, right?
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with another C-suite member to talk about how I was planning on approaching annual planning the next year with the team. And the meeting was specifically to talk about, to get their feedback on that process and just make sure that they were okay with how we were going to do it. And before I even got started, he just said, I want to stop you. I need to give you some feedback and basically try to understand what's been going on with you. Like, it just seems like you're not fully dialed in. Your team is doing really reactive research. The customer segmentation didn't land in time to impact annual planning. Like these, and literally I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, first of all, you just said my team is doing reactive research, and then you mentioned the customer segmentation. We just did like a little bit of an oxymoron that's not, the other thing is like we had been advocating for the customer segmentation for so much longer before we actually started working on it. So perhaps we should look in the mirror when we're, you know, coming to blame another function for why the segmentation didn't land in time to influence annual planning on the timeline they wanted.
All those reactions where you're like, well, let me tell you, like, that's bullshit for reasons.
Yeah, and I think the thing though was that, so I had a really good communication. I pride myself in my communication. I pride myself in how I, you know, show up at work. And so this feedback was terrifying for me because I was like, oh, I'm the one getting shaken down now. And what does he think is going on? Why does he think this work is reactive? That we're not prioritizing properly? And I had a really good communication with my manager, a really good relationship with my skip level, who is the chief product officer. And I realized that I had been making some assumptions about them communicating upward on my behalf.
Right.
And I also realized that, I just wasn't making what I was doing and what the team was doing visible enough to kind of head off a lot of these assumptions at the pass.
So, okay, so there's so many good lessons here. So like, never get complacent is one I heard. Another is like, maybe look under the surface and like see what's going on, look for points of anxiety. But what happened? So you got that feedback. I'm sure it was surprising in that moment. But like, what did you learn from that about like how to pivot? Like, okay, now here's somebody who's saying there's a thing that didn't go well. Like, did you feel it was a moment for repair? Like, how did you move forward in a way that you thought continued to build the relationship and the team?
It's a good question. First I had to kind of get over the initial hump of like extreme anxiety, and also just a lot of frustration because like all the things he was saying, I was like, wrong, you're wrong. That's not, it's like, wow, you are so off. Like, but also then that means what was I not doing? And so I was like, what's the message in here for me? There was also some other aspects of how that communication happens that felt like really uncool and really like, also if you're saying, it seems like you've been phoning it in for a long time and there's no other way I've been getting that feedback and you're coming to me after that long period of time, like what the hell, you know? So I was thinking a little bit more broadly about like, what kind of organization is this? Is this a group of leaders that I think can inspire me and help me become a better leader? You know, do I have options to think about a different situation? But I decided to like own the pieces that I could, which is like, clearly I'm not bubbling up what I'm doing enough, how we're making decisions, because this person felt like this feedback was appropriate for me. So I essentially said, you know, I wasn't going to agree with everything that he said because I didn't agree with it, but I said what I think I'm hearing and what I'm sensing is that I haven't been making it clear enough to you what my team is doing, and I assumed that people in my chain up to you were communicating on my behalf, and like never assume that. So we started over communicating the shit out of that situation, and I think things turned around really quickly in terms of the relationship there. I was also able to sit down with him and say, so which of these things on our roadmap that we have done recently are doing
ownership again?
Yeah,
it's the same trick.
It's like, which of these things do you see as like more reactive? Was it the customer segmentation, or was it the foundational field research we did with people using the app? And which one of these was it? Because there wasn't any.
You were trying to zing them?
There wasn't, exactly. So he was like,
This is your advice for everybody, is like, just definitely try to zing executives, right?
It was a little bit more subtle.
Tell us more.
A little bit more subtle. But yeah, essentially I was trying to help change the narrative, but also clarify where I thought the more of the challenge was, versus be combative and just focus on repair. The other thing I did was I knew the stakeholder who had given the feedback through these other channels, including to the CEO. And I essentially went straight to her and I said, hey, it seems like we need to talk because I've been hearing a little bit here and there about your feelings about the timing of the customer segmentation and how research is being prioritized, because our team actually supported both marketing and product. I really wish you would have come to me because I need you to do that, but also I can be asking you for more. We're gonna be talking a lot more, you know?
Yeah, that's great. I feel like, again, like so many cool lessons from this story. And one thing I hear is that I often say, like, never attribute to malice what you can attribute to ignorance or incompetence. And I'm going to add anxiety to that one, because it feels like your story is partly about, like, realizing, especially in moments of anxiety, there are things that can come out, things you might not hear, and we kind of have to be open to them.
Yeah, and in this case, too, it was one of the hardest conversations that I've ever had in my career. It is, like, compared to the other places that I'd worked beforehand, hands down, I had more impact individually and as on a research team at that company than I had in many years prior, I felt. And so I felt like the feedback that I was getting was so at odds with my self-view, and it's not how I view things. So I think it was just important for me not just to walk away from that situation or to kind of like, I don't know, just to try to take out of it what I could in that scenario too.
Yeah, I love that. When we were preparing for this, one of the things I was sort of asking you, we were talking about stereotypes of like difficult relationships and stakeholders. And you kind of admitted that you feel like your kryptonite is still like the stereotype of the unengaged or the disengaged stakeholder.
Yeah, I hate them. I'm just kidding. I don't hate them. I have less and less patience for people who are disengaged about research. I have realized that it's not about me necessarily. It's not about the research. It's like they're often just really, really busy. But
I just have to quote you. Sorry, I don't know if you remember saying this.
Okay.
But you said, and I quote, "If you don't give a shit about this, then I don't give a shit about you."
Thanks. Yeah.
You're never coming on this show again, are you?
Okay, cool. I don't know. I'm gonna need some
One-time
time
guest,
off.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Truly though, like, I think that at the end of the day, if someone who is in a position of power or the ability to empower someone who's in an insights-related role is either is completely ignoring you or making it difficult to engage effectively in things like prioritization and road mapping discussions or strategy, like, and also sometimes they think they're like, oh, I care about this. We're gonna have a great relationship, and then it's like, where are you? And why aren't you bringing me to the room? Like, I think that they're doing a disservice. Like, at the end of the day, they're doing a disservice to the business, and there's like, that's where I have growing impatience with it, because I really think, like, you know, again, this is really important to the customers, and so what you know, at the very least, if you're too busy to engage with me on this, how can I get you out of my way, or take something that is hard for you and empower me to do this thing instead of you, you know?
So don't be disengaged and a blocker. You know, that's the killer, maybe.
Yeah, and I recently learned I've been taking a leadership course where they talked about this framework for team performance and what you really need to be able to perform effectively. And there's like your capability, so can I do this thing? There's motivation, do I want to do this thing? And then there's license, which is, am I empowered to do this thing?
Yes.
And I think that the unengaged person, and also the other types of bad stakeholders too, like, they impact your empowerment. And so that's a language that I have tried to bring a little bit more into conversations that I have with those people themselves, but also with my manager or other people that I'm seeking support from, so I can say, I'm able to do this, I want to do this, I have tried 17 things or these things, like, I still can't do this, like, something's gotta give, what else, how do we do this? And sometimes, like, I just, you know, I'll go focus energy elsewhere, because again,
I love it. I love that framework.
Yeah.
Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left, and there's been so many good nuggets of advice and suggestions, but I wonder if we can make it really concrete. Like, if you're speaking to a room of diverse leaders in the research space, like, what's the secret to relationships and influence according to Reeba Gray?
Okay. I would say first, like we talked about, approach all relationships with optimism, even if you're warned about them. And in particular, remember that wherever you're starting with that stakeholder is different than their starting point with the last person that preceded you. So you may actually be in a better starting place than you think you are. And be reasonable and realistic about what a good point of arrival is with that relationship. You don't need to change them overnight. They're not going to be amazing across the board. It's going to be a long journey. What are some small steps forward that you can give yourself credit for, and that set the ball rolling, that kind of begin hopefully a good chain of things feeling better. And I think, that point of arrival and departure piece is something that I keep bringing back. Another thing is to over-communicate, and don't presume that your relationships are in a healthy place. Don't presume communication is happening ever above you. Like, go out and communicate broadly, get to know individual stakeholders well, and also something else that I do now is I basically say, whenever I'm starting a new relationship with someone, that I want to calibrate with them, and I want to do a lot of feedback sharing and to kind of in moments where I solicit feedback, and then I actually do it. Including most recently asking the CEO of our company that I'm working at now to give one of my first performance reviews if he was open to it. After my first half there. And I don't always agree with their feedback, but I know what they think. I know what they're expecting of me, and that gives me more information to work with to continue to build and improve the relationship.
I love it. Reeba, thank you for giving us your advice and your experience. I really appreciate you. Help me thank Reeba Gray, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Reeba.
See ya.
Bye, Reeba. We'll see Reeba again later. So I think now we have, let's see, we have Reeba Gray, and I think we are going to hear from Maze, aren't we? Where's Maze? Where's John from Maze? Hey, buddy. Come on up. I see you're wearing your high visibility shirt today.
Can you hear me?
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, learners. Good to see you all. I'm John, the COO from Maze. We are the full stack research platform built for companies that want to embrace research throughout their organization. One of our core beliefs is that the teams that win aren't the ones with the strongest convictions in the room. We all know those people. They're the ones that never stop learning. And this is really why researchers love us. They'll tell us that we help their whole company make better decisions by bringing the organization closer to research. That's what really separates us. But what we also hear is this is tough. This requires researchers to be more than researchers. You have to be the mentors, the trainers, the guides, the ones that everyone goes to just to get a study off the ground. And the time better spent in strategy is spent in study setup and reviews and logistics. And so we want to help. And we're building something beyond the research platform. It's what we're calling a system of learning. And today we're taking a very important step in that journey, introducing the AI Study Builder. So cue the video here, please.
Your team ships faster than ever before, but are your decisions backed by evidence? With Maze's AI Study Builder, anyone can create a complete study built on methods researchers trust. Start by describing what you want to learn in plain language. Maze asks a few clarifying questions and walks you through what it's building and why. No black box, just a ready-to-run study you can trust. Launch studies in minutes, not weeks. Whether you're a researcher scaling your impact or a product manager who needs answers fast, your team can move from question to decision with confidence. Maze's AI Study Builder, from question to research in minutes. Available now.
So importantly, in reducing the cost of moving from question to answer for your teams, this gives you the time back to focus on the big questions that really matter, shaping strategy and influencing decisions across your organization. This is just one part of something bigger that we're calling the system of learning. It's a real partnership between people and technology to build research fluency in organizations at a time we think it's desperately needed. And so we're excited to tell you more about that system of learning in the coming weeks and months. And yes, it does include a Maze MCP. But most excited to be able to build that next to this community because this relies on a fundamental belief that for the system of learning to work in organizations, it needs to be led by the lifelong learners themselves. And I know we have those people in this room, so thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you, John, and thank you, Maze, for supporting our community. Appreciate you so much. Okay, so we're going to keep this train rolling. I am pleased to welcome our next guest, Jess Hullbrook, Head of UX Research from Microsoft AI. Welcome, Jess. No, come on.
Yeah, I want the real thing.
That's what you
do. I want the real thing.
Okay, yeah, good bro hug, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like maybe a second career as like a voiceover, doing the voiceovers for those demo commercials for research tools? They're so smooth.
Yeah, I hadn't, but now that you mentioned
I think you'd be great at it.
Thanks,
yeah.
man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. So you are also, I learned, in the sort of psych crowd.
Yep.
And also are now a Microsoft boomerang. So give us that, like, how did you end up where you are now? Like, what's the journey been like for you in brief?
Yeah. So right now I'm at Microsoft AI, but I started in social psychology. Psychologists in the room? Okay, good. Yeah. Woo. Good. Yeah, we're better than everybody else. It's okay. We can own that. Yeah. No, I started in social psychology. I always say, you know, I cared about people before I cared about technology, but I really like when they come together. That's like the most interesting thing for me. I started my career at Microsoft for a while, kind of doing everything across Windows and the browser, Amazon, Google, Meta, and now I'm back at Microsoft. But the interesting inflection point, I know you said we weren't going to talk about the thing, but while I was at Google,
Jess, we talked about this.
I know, but you know, rules are meant to be broken.
All right, fair enough.
And in about 2014, there was this tiny little group called Research and Machine Intelligence that I moved over and joined as one of the first UXers there, and that kind of became this thing called AI, but then it kind of fizzled out. We never heard from it again, and here we are. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that AI thing?
Wait, I thought AI was invented in 2023. No?
Yeah. Fun fact, actually.
Yeah,
A little bit before that.
So we sort of kicked off this session talking about, where we were like, okay, we're going to talk about influence.
Yeah.
But we never even really said what that is. Like, everyone wants to be influential, but what does that even mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do you know if you're influential as a researcher?
Yeah, I think that's interesting because, like, well, until the coding agent inflection point, 6 months ago, I used to tell everybody, research is, we are influencers. That's just literally what we do. We don't write the code, we don't draw the pixels, we don't write the words, we try to influence. We don't set the business strategy, but we try to influence all those things. Now it's a little different. We actually can do a lot of those things. But I also think influence is then, it is naturally mediated through other people, so it is naturally hard to understand. Like, it's unverifiable in a lot of ways. Like, you just have to accept that you'll never know with 100% certainty if you have it or not. But I also think it's important to think about influence in all directions. So I think a lot of times this centers around, like, how do I get this person who's not a UXR to do what I want them to do in the product or whatever. But
so influence is like being the puppet master in a certain way.
I mean, influence is a lot, I think, there's direct influence and there's indirect influence. And I think we over-index a lot on direct influence to, the PM or whatever, which is like, I need to go and show up and do a really good presentation and convince them of the thing I think. Where another way to think about influence, though, is through you and your fellow UXRs, through the UX group or the insights group that you might be a part of, through your company, and then I focus almost all of my time on indirect influence.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
So like in our, the way that we're structured in Microsoft AI right now too is like, I don't know, I see like Chris hi Chris, I see like Rita next to him, there might be somebody else. Oh, Chuck's next to him too. So like our team, like the way that we operate a lot of through a lot of our products is like embedded, so we do report in centrally-ish, but like the most important thing is that we've set up the structure so that those people can be as influential as they can possibly be, and in a lot of like indirect ways, versus there's this central mechanism that I present out every once in a while to executives or whatever. Like as long as everyone that they work with are super happy and they're acting on all of our research, and all the researchers are happy as well. Like, okay, we've set the stage for influence where it's going to be almost hard to be not influential.
So it's like a structural solution to influence underneath.
Yeah, and a lot of it is setting up those conditions. This is part of. It's always weird to leadership's job or whatever. It's part to say, okay, what are we going to need in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and what do I need to start setting in motion now to get that? Because we used to have more of a centrally. We used to have kind of like a bottleneck where it was like, okay, everything gets routed in and gets doled out, and we had to move to something else because that was actually going to really limit our influence, and then it was also going to centralize it into one person, which is bad. Like everyone should be able to be kind of fungible or movable, or stuff happens, and so you want kind of like this culture of influence versus a very influential person. If that
For
makes
sure.
sense. Yeah.
So, but if you're okay, the culture of influence, the structure of influence, I love that as a way to think about the foundation. But if you're like a researcher, and the question is, how do I know? Is it working? What I mean? I'm trying. Is it working?
Yeah, I love this because the way that I've experienced deep trust with partners is kind of one of two things that look exactly opposite of each other. So one is like the constant pulling in, right? It's the constant messages, it's the informal pings, it's the, hey, we're meeting about this thing and I don't know why they didn't invite you, but like you need to get into this meeting and blah, blah, blah. And like, it's just like, okay, pull, like I know that this is here. One of the biggest pulls also is people say your name when you're not in the room.
Yes.
If you want like an indicator, that is what you want. And also, just for this group and everyone listening, remember to say people's names when they're not in the room. This is highly,
Give credit.
one, yeah, give people their flowers, give credit, but two, this is part of how you build a culture of influence. So people don't think of you, they think of the right person. And so it's kind of undeniable, and it can almost be like, you're in the good place sometimes there where you're like, we don't need to do that study. We actually don't need to do more research on this. And they're like, but they're pull. The other one is the exact opposite that honestly feels like neglect. It's like they don't check in. They basically, every once in a while you talk to them and they're like, so do you need anything from me? How are things going?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, God, is this not influence? But sometimes that's the biggest thing is because you've become so reliable that they're like, okay, I don't need to check in on you. Because also, influence can feel, we mistake like drama or action for influence sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes influence is really boring. It's like, yeah, you set everything up, so it's calm and chill, and you're the one they don't need to worry about, where everyone else is who they do.
You start to think if it's not on fire, and if I don't have to like firefight all the time, that could I possibly be doing my job?
Right. Yeah. And it's tough because that level of influence it's kind of intoxicating in a way. It's like, oh, this thing's broke, and I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna save it, and I did this big presentation and we switched everything. Like, I love that. That's super fun. Like, that's really enjoyable work. But a lot of the time, your job, it should be kind of boring because we did the right things, and we have the influence, and we set up the thing before it's set on fire, and all of that. And so, I heard this saying about dating, where it said, if they like you, you'll know, and if you're confused, they don't. and I like that a lot because I actually think that applies to influence.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're influential, you'll know. And if you're like, I'm not sure if I am or not, you're probably not. Like, to be honest, you're probably not. But we have a secret weapon, and that is we are all clever little researchers who can figure things out.
Heck yes.
Yeah, and so then it's time to go do your research and kind of figure out how you could be more influential. And with that, we can talk about that a little bit. I actually try like pretty direct ways of getting at that. It's funny, I try to be very indirect in my influence of culture and then very direct in like figuring out how I am.
So what's an example of that, of like the direct method?
One is I will just literally ask people. This sounds kind of funny, but I had a colleague this week and we were working on, this is actually, it's kind of funny. It's another influence you might not think of, but like with our recruiters and like our hiring group and everything like that. And I could tell I was kind of driving our recruiter a little crazy because she was kind of like, I could tell that like, she was like, you're saying no to these people and yes to these people, I can't tell why, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm big also on like, let's hop on a call. So I was like, hey, can we hop on a call really quick and just like talk about this? And I just kind of started off and I said, I don't think you're 100% happy with me. How could I get that to 100%? And I know that sounds a little B2B SaaS of me, of like, how do I close this deal?
Jess, it's impossible.
Yeah, I know. After it's like kind of like, well, nobody's ever going to be happy, but just to say like, hey, yeah, I must be doing something wrong. What could I do?
You're giving people an opening.
Yeah, and then my favorite part though is there's always this moment of hesitation, especially if there's like a perceived power imbalance. So if you're kind of, whatever title or level or whatever, people will pause, and that's this like big moment of truth.
Right. How honest are they going to be?
Yeah. Do they think you're actually going to act on it, or are you just like opening the bear trap for them? And
absolutely.
And then those are those moments of truth though, where I think, you have to walk the walk. Like another example of that is when I was at Google. We were just starting to build up the team in the word we won't say team. And we had hired some contractors because we weren't able to really build out the FTE team yet. And I'd hired somebody, Christine Kohlhepp, just straight out of school. She was like, she didn't have industry experience yet, but she was like wicked smart. And I was like, she's gonna be awesome. And I remember, because we had a team meeting and I had written up the research plan. I was like, senior staff or whatever at that point. So I was like many levels above her and I had hired her, right? And I was like, here's my research plan and blah, blah, blah. And she just found like the biggest hole in it. Just like embarrassing, I should have caught this, what are you doing? And it was a real moment. It was like, flushed face.
Yeah, red.
Like, oh man. But it was like, all right, what do we do here? Like, what is our culture? And it was just like, you're absolutely right. I should have caught that. What should we do different here? And that's like, that's that influencing the culture, right?
Yeah, I love that. I feel like there's so many good lessons for what you're saying, but one thing that occurred to me is that I think for a long time, researchers hoped that influence would happen through insights.
Mm-hmm.
And often, especially in difficult situations, indirectly, like, can I do this via email?
Yeah.
Maybe my document will do the influencing.
Yeah.
And your example is like, what am I doing wrong? Let's have a direct conversation.
Yeah.
Like, let's get to it, and that can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I think also in a lot of organizations, UXR cannot feel at peer with other roles, and so then we don't act with confidence. We don't act as confident peer, and we should. And like, it's very confident to go to somebody and say like, hey, I think I could be doing better for you. Like, what's something I could improve that would make your life easier? Like, that's filled with I'm your peer.
Does acting with more confidence make you more influential?
I definitely think so. It's not the 100% because I don't want to do the it depends, but you have to understand also the company culture and what's happening.
You're a researcher.
But yeah, but I also think we operate in such ambiguity and uncertainty at all times that everyone's searching for confidence. They're searching for certainty of some kind.
Yeah.
And so like acting with that can actually give the other person more confidence to act. I also think just as a field, we tend to not act as confidently as we should. Because we come from this place of like, well, my study wasn't perfect, and well, I should get more evidence, and well, this person poked a hole. And so we come from this like insecure place where I really don't think we should. And if I can move it back to influencing across the orgs. So like one of the things I'll talk to when I go talk to like peers is I kind of say, okay, let's like wipe all the titles off. You don't know what anybody's title is. You just know like what they've done and what they do. And I'm like, you have one person in your org who has talked to 100 people who use your product, or 50 or even 20 or something. You only have one. Do you want them to speak up? They'd be like, yeah, I want them to speak up.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want to hear their intuition on something even if they don't have data? They'd be like, yeah, of course. I hope they're speaking up in every single meeting, right?
Right. Pick your battles.
Yeah, and instead, like a lot of times we'll kind of like, I say bring data to an opinion fight, which is like not really a great plan. We'll always be outgunned that way. And so yeah, I think that like we need to embrace that a little bit more.
I love it.
Like we have a unique experience in the organization that you should be confident in.
Yeah. And I feel like especially in this moment where disciplines are changing so much and we have the power to ship them.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out how to be more confident because it depends, but very often I agree, it's a path to influence.
Completely. Like, something I've been trying to advocate for is we're moving into a place where, okay, if the cost of execution goes way down, then everything around its value goes up. It's just basic like complements to that. And the two things that look like they're going to be very, very hard to, automate or anything is figuring out what should we build and is it good enough? And when I look at that, I go, that's our thing. That's like literally our superpower. And so we should be extremely well positioned to be influential in this space if we can grab it. But this is the thing. As a discipline, a lot of times we're hesitant. We don't want that. We want to kind of like stay in our own thing. And so I want to really encourage people to do that. The other kind of interesting thing for this conversation is it shifts who we need to be influential to and how we need to be influential.
What do you mean?
So in some ways, it might reduce it. So if we can have a system where I go, well, we now have a system where when I have an insight, I can go use one of our little friendly coding agents, and I can create a prototype of something, and I can basically say, we're ready to like ship this. And maybe I even just get some gates. I don't have to go influence the PM. I don't have to go influence Eng. I don't have to talk to whoever anymore. Like I can actually just act more directly on the space.
Yeah.
And then also we're able to create new artifacts to be differently influential. So like our team recently went crazy on the like report site bandwagon. Like so we were doing reports and doing all the normal things, and then one person on our team was like, yeah, so I used one of the agents, and I kind of like made this site that kind of looks like a New York Times scrolling site, or like The Pudding, if you guys have been that. And then somebody's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so now everyone's just kind of going crazy with these like data viz and data explorers, and we're kind of in this phase of like seeing what's actually valuable, which is versus what's just kind of like a novelty effect.
Right.
But they're getting like kind of crazy traction with our peers, because people are like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, like, I mean, we're kind of weird, so you probably do want to read another report, but most people don't want to read another report, right? But then they go to this site and they're like, whoa, this is awesome. The quotes are like scrolling by in a chyron, and like I can click into all of the bar charts and see like videos. They're like, this isn't work, this is fun. That's awesome. We're being more influential that way now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching gears for a second, you are a person who occasionally has hot takes.
Oh yeah, love the peppers.
We love a hot take. So
Yeah.
I feel like you have a pretty hot take on like the UXR roadshow. Like, is people be is the good advice to like, hey, when you are in a new team, like go around and give everybody like, this is what research is speech.
Yeah. So I know that this always comes up, and especially if you're new to a team, and like it's interesting of spaces and so like I was originally like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about this, and I was like, oh, I love to go give this is UXR, and I'm going to sell everybody. I'm going to change these minds. And I don't do that anymore for a number of reasons, but like one is I've just found them kind of ineffective, because a lot of times they just persuade the people who are already persuaded. A lot of times the follow-up from that was actually from the more junior people on the team, which is awesome, that's great, but I didn't sway the person who could really change things. I also don't like it because it inherently puts you in a subservient position to the person you're presenting to.
Please let me tell you my
job.
job.
Yeah, please care about this thing I care about. I really hope you do. And I don't like that because, one, I am your peer. Like, you are not above me, I'm not above you. We are trying to build a thing together. Two, if I need to convince you that you should care about the people who use your product, like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you if you're like, I want to build things to make people's lives better. Cool. Do you want to hear from them? No. Like I can't.
You're dead to me.
No, I can't relate to you.
Yeah.
Like almost in any way. And so what I like to do better is I've had 2 successes. One is like going and laying the groundwork personally, so this was at Meta and at Microsoft now, is I've had to kind of meet with leads who are very skeptical of research, and I've had to kind of like sell them, it sounds funny, but I had to like sell them on me first, to sell them on research second.
Like you as a person, as a trusted collaborator.
Yeah, I had to convince them I'm not a clown, like, right? And I tricked I tricked them both into
Did it
thinking
work?
I'm good at fooling people into thinking I'm not a fool. And so the first one was this kind of, like at Meta it really was, because it was just so data science heavy, and so it was like, okay, I'm not really into this qual research thing you're doing, but Jess, I kind of believe you, so like I'll give you a shot. And so we went down that road and had some decent success there. At Microsoft it was super interesting. So I met with one of our engineering leads of one of the big products, right? Like a VP, muckety-muck, very big deal person. And we were kind of sitting there talking, getting to know each other and doing this, and he was actually my mentor at the time. They'd given me him as my mentor. And it kind of came out, he's like, well, I kind of don't trust user research. And I was like, oh, why? Like why? And the reason he gave was, it was this kind of thing that I didn't really get. He was like, well, like 3 years ago they did this research on what the product, I'm being a little evasive just to not like out, although I don't know who would like know this person or whatever, but like we did this research in China, and the research like caught a few things, but it didn't catch something that came out later.
Right.
Therefore, I don't trust
Therefore, research is bad.
And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a swearing show, right?
Yeah, go for it,
Okay. In my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's like, what are you talking about? That's so crazy. And then in the room, I said, I can understand how that would be pretty frustrating with you. That was.
You're the internal and the external model.
Yeah. No, totally. I can understand how that would be pretty frustrating from you.
Tell me how you feel about that.
That was, yeah, it's like therapy. It's like, that was a few years ago. I'm asking you to reset your expectations with our team. And it was just the direct thing of like, I'm not, but this is the thing, I'm not gonna I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I wasn't there, that wasn't me.
It wasn't me, I don't know, that person probably did their best. There's plenty of reasons why this could happen, but you just say, well, the other thing I said, in between was, I can understand that would be frustrating for you. I said, I've worked with some engineers who have written some bugs in the past, but I haven't written them off. But it's the equivalent, right? Like that's the equivalent of what this person is saying. And so, and this is part of my thing is I actually try to disarm a little bit with humor. And so I got a chuckle out of him, for that. And I go, and so I'm asking you for us to reset our relationship and our expectations.
I love it because I love that directness again, because a lot of times when people think, I've run into this too, where people say research is bad or I have this problem. What they're really saying is I encountered bad research or a bad researcher. Totally. And so you're saying like just hit that right on the head and be like, I'm asking you to reset. I'm not that person. This is not that moment.
Yeah, let go of the past, man. Like sunk costs, it's okay. But then also it's like research isn't special. Like we don't catch everything every study. Engineers write bugs with code. PMs write PRDs that are missing important features.
Yeah.
Marketing produces the wrong message, like everybody makes mistakes. So, but then we go, oh geez, I did that mistake. I should feel super bad for it. And it's like, you're the only one. Everyone else is just cruising along, loving life.
I love
doing their thing.
I love that as a parting piece of advice. Like sometimes that reset is so valuable. Like just like, let's start over. I'm not that person. We're going to go forward.
Yeah.
Jess, thank you for being here. Thank you for your amazing advice.
Yeah.
Let's give him a hand, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, we'll see Jess again.
One more. We got to
bro hug.
We got to do the bro hug exit too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. It's not awkward at all. Okay. Last but not least, I am so thrilled to have the one and only. I was like wondering where you were. I was like, it's fine. Hannah Pledgy, everybody. Hi.
My bad. Hi.
How are you?
I'm great.
Welcome. Have a seat, please. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Hannah comes to us all the way from Pittsburgh. Everything I know about Pittsburgh, I learned from the Pit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not that place. So, remember when I said you should totally finish grad school, and then like 48 hours later you dropped out of grad school to join Facebook?
Yeah, I've kind of famously never listened to Judd's advice.
Hey,
really,
it served you
really
extremely well.
It's interesting that you invited me to do this still, so that's
I
good.
knew
Like
you were
our
gonna
relationship
throw some
has
shade.
endured.
Yeah.
It's true. I was in a PhD program when I interned on Judd's team many moons ago, and I came to him and said, like, I've got a big idea. I'm going to drop out and work here. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, no, I am. And look at us now. So
yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
So what happened in the intervening years between that conversation and now?
Yeah. So my background, we're all given a little bit of contextualization of where we're coming from. My background is in statistics. I got a job in market research out of college. I was in a cubicle crunching numbers, and I said, like, has anybody talked to these people? And they were like, we don't do that here.
Wait, do what now?
And so that's why I went back to grad school. I found HCI. I did qualitative research. I became a mixed methods person. And then we had a stint together at Facebook. I can't call it Meta. I'm sorry. It's really hard for me. I'll try. And then I was at Airbnb for many years, and then most recently at Duolingo. So yeah, it's been a real
a journey, huh?
Yeah.
So I feel like through that journey, you've had a chance to encounter some characters. Like
Right.
you got the Mark Zuckerbergs, you got the Brian Chesky's, you got the Louis Von Ons of the world.
Yeah. I've got like a full bingo card of like billionaire, founder,
Dudes.
CEO. Yeah. I've got a lot of experience there. Is there a question?
Well, the question is like, okay, yeah, no, I'm just name dropping.
Do you want their numbers? Is that,
yeah. No, the thing I was thinking is like it's so interesting because we were talking earlier, and I think those are obviously very specific people, billionaire founder dudes. But it seems like you've also learned a lot from them about some of the challenges of influence and how to tackle them.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Wow. So, I mean, I think, what's interesting about the companies I've been at is they've been predominantly consumer-facing products. So I know that's not everyone in this room, but I would say that what comes with that is a dog fooding world. And like, please don't make me define that for this audience, but basically, we can use our own products, we can call our mom when we get the job and say like, hey, you can download the thing I work on, and that feels really good. But the flip side of that is that I'm spending a lot of time trying to convince you to listen to things when you can use it yourself, right? It's like, why would I need to hear from Susan in Kansas in a 45-minute unstructured interview when I just used it this morning? And I think that's been interesting for me to understand. How do you influence in a really dog foodable product world?
Yeah.
I had some early sort of flops with this that were pretty humbling. You mentioned Zuck. I think in Facebook, the sort of ultimate thing you want is a Zuck review. I was very green and early in my career. I had been doing some interesting research work. We'd pulled together this crazy series of focus groups and done a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I remember working through the weekend, so excited. It's my first Zuck review. We're going to go in. I'm going to blow his mind. Like, this is going to be awesome. And we got in the room, and he said, oh, I used it all weekend. You're going to tell me A, B, and C. And it was like exactly the slides.
You nailed it.
And it was crushing.
What?
Because
what
I was like, no, but like, let me show you the perfect clips that I worked on that show you A, B, and C.
You just pick up your laptop and leave it?
No, he actually was like, we can end the meeting. Like, it's A, B, and C. So that was sort of my intro to like, you gotta find new ways in a world where you're working with product leaders that can use it themselves. I feel this a lot at Duolingo too. Luis I think he does like 12 lessons a day. For a long time, he was like the top bug reporter. I'm looking at the Duolingo people in the audience, and it's like, how do you compete with that? Yeah. So I think in those contexts, it's like you got to find audiences that they cannot argue that they are a part of, right? So it's like at Duolingo, we had some of our first success was when we had a kids app. And I could be like, well, you're not a kid. Like, I need you to see this 5-year-old using this thing because like, you really, really can't relate to this. But also, I think surveys go a long way in this world too. Like a little healthy quant moment kind of softens the ground in a really dog foodable product world. So I don't know. I think I've influenced when people weigh their own personal experience heavier than any of the research you're doing can be really tricky and really tough.
Yeah. So I feel like you're pointing at such an interesting thing we all encounter, which is like we work with a lot of people who are increasingly being told to use their intuition, their product sense.
Yeah.
And we're trying to use data and empathy and qualitative and quantitative insights. So like how do you break through the wall of intuition with like a product stakeholder, let's say?
Yeah. I mean, I believe a lot in storytelling. I believe a lot in kind of giving people a lot to look at that they can actually really engage in, that will kind of question their own beliefs. It's sort of a tricky, it's a tricky part of this.
Yeah, I feel like something I watched you do well at Airbnb was like, what didn't happen in a moment, you took them on a journey. Like what really the thing that allowed you to be very influential was not one study or one insight. It was building up through many conversations about, let's say, experiences, a sense among all these stakeholders that this cannot happen without Hannah in the room.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
You can pay me later. It's fine.
Yeah, team me up. I think that something I've always tried to do is create groundswell of influence. I think early in my career, I really I sort of I thought attribution was influence. Like I thought it was important that I was in the room raising my hand, saying the really like sexy research point, and it was attributed to me in the moment, and everyone clapped, and
right.
you know, Nobel Peace Prize is on the way. Like you like feel it like
Mention
really,
your
really.
name on stage.
But I actually think like over my career, I've learned a lot more that influence is when I'm not in the room. It's when there's advocacy from other people who have been along the ride for your work,
right.
who are there with it, who are like, hey, when I was in the back room of that focus group with all those college kids, and everyone was like, you were what? You know, like it's the stuff when it's actually just not coming from me that's a lot cooler.
Yeah.
And creates, you know, a
Yeah.
heavier sense of influence.
So I want to come back to this point because I feel like a lot of researchers think that attribution and influence are the same, or that what it means to be influential is to have some insight or outcome attributed to you. And you're saying, what are you saying about that?
What am I saying? I know. Am I going to get canceled for that? Like, I don't know. Here's my thing. Like, attribution matters. And like, as a, you know, once I'm running a discipline, you better bet that it's like calibration. I'm in the room being like, she did that,
Yep.
promote them.
It matters.
Like, attribution matters. So like, that's not what I'm saying. But I think it's like, influence is this much deeper thing where it's sort of like less of the immediate instant gratification hit of like, ooh, sexy, research, points on the board. Like, it's a lot more of like, okay, we make a good decision that ends up being good for users, it's good for UX, it's good for the brand, it's good for the da-da-da-da-da-da. And eventually everyone sits back and they're like, oh, that was because we listened to learners, we listened to customers, we listened to users, whatever you call kind of the segment of people. Who you care about. And I think that's the actual long game. Like, that's playing the long game with influence.
Yeah. So continuing with the journey we had at Airbnb together, I feel like I wanted to ask you about an experience you were talking about. So like, you were talking about how you felt like you used to work really hard to try to onboard people to you, and then maybe there was an instance where that didn't work as well as you'd hoped. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I really stand by this idea that you need to onboard stakeholders to you and to what you do, but there's a real sweet spot. I think I went through some try-hard periods with this. I think that's probably what you're trying to get me to talk about. You know, in my time at Airbnb, I'd been there for many years. A new business leader was coming in. It felt like changing of the guards. I felt like, okay, we gotta like show her we know what we're doing so we can stick around, and you know, kind of prove to her that like this is just how we do things here. Like, research is so influential. And she was someone who was coming in, had like a long career at Procter & Gamble. She had been at Disney for many years. We sort of like back-channeled to ask like, what can we learn about this woman to like really help? I see like some Airbnb people giggling in the crowd. Like, how do we get to her? Like, how do I get through to her? And what we heard is like, she prints everything out. And I was like, okay, I can, is there a printer in this building? Like, I can do that.
Print.
Which like literally like what am I printing? But like we figured it out. I got the team together. We basically took 4 years of research. We turned it into like 10 physical sheets of paper of like our greatest hits. We did. We put it in a fucking binder. I know. And we like our first meeting with her, we like sat down. We like gave her a binder and we were like, we heard you like stuff printed. And like it didn't matter.
No,
you know,
she
was looking for something different. Like, she wasn't really expecting what we were putting out there anyway. And so I feel like the takeaway there was like, yeah, it was a good exercise to like turn all of our work into a few concise pages of like the greatest hits, but like the kind of going above and beyond. There was sort of like a thirsty element of it where we were really like, we're here for you. And I think it's like, learn to sort of reel it in of like, you know, I think Reeba said it well of like, you're assuming best intentions. I'm assuming you're gonna come in and care about what it is I do. So for my part, like, I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna assume you're gonna like scroll through my repository and like come up with your own conclusions about our work, but like, there's kind of this sweet spot of like, how do you onboard people to what it is that you do, how you want them to engage with you, how important you are, without kind of like flopping.
I feel like there's a research project there where it's like if you approach it, you're like, I'm not going to assume I know what it takes to get this person on board. I'm actually just going to approach it from a point of curiosity.
I think that's a good way to put it. And you know, it's also like, when I think about sometimes our work can get so specific, like when you think about the types of projects you've worked on, they've been such a specific moment in a time, or like hey, find out if this specific button should launch. And it's like, all of that stuff is now in my brain, and so I can sort through what of it is interesting and important to share with you, but I think that synthesizing of it is all like an important part of that onboarding conversation of like, how, you know, like, let me see what signals you're gonna send to me of what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll convert it for you. Yeah.
So when you sort of moved to Duolingo, it must have been like quite a different environment.
Yeah.
Like how did you think about that entry? Like I'm curious what advice you would give if you because we're not all starting new jobs all the time, but we do often get new stakeholders or move to new teams or we start working on a new feature or product. And we're sort of starting all over again in a way, like, okay, I guess I'm going to build my influence.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think like we've all been through career transitions. You start to really feel like you have a lot of confidence in what it is that you do, and then you go somewhere new and no one knows you're awesome, and it's this real like setback where you have to kind of build it all up again. What's interesting about Duolingo in particular is it's actually a relatively small company, and it was when I got there. It's still sub 1,000 people. Very low turnover, a lot of people who've been there for a long time. And so it was kind of like you're walking into the party, everyone's been there for a long time. It's like a light record scratch where it's like, who's she? Oh, okay. Yeah, help us.
Let's find out.
And so it's sort of this like steep hill to climb to say like, especially again, dog foodable product, like I'm here to help. And it's like, we don't need help. I think that, that transition can be difficult. I also think that as you're building out, like sort of as a research leader by that point in my career, when you're thinking about the team and how to sort of like help them all be as impactful as possible, it's like the sort of plans you've used in the past or at past companies, those things suddenly don't work. And so it's a lot of like really trying to understand the environment you're in, doing a lot of expert interviewing of your new stakeholders, and just being like willing to flop a little bit and work your way through.
How do you find your people? Like when you're like trying to find allies, how do you find them?
Yeah, I would say that I didn't understand this to be the case early in my career, but I've started to understand that it's like they're tastemakers. I think especially like in a growingly AI world, there are a lot of think pieces right now about taste and like who sets taste and what that means. Everywhere I've worked, there have been tastemakers, and they are not the decision makers. And so if you think about it, like, ultimately they're decision makers, but really they're sort of the people behind the people. They're either just like cool or plugged in some way, or they've been there for a long time. And I think, when I think about the investment and the relationships with the tastemakers, bringing them along in research, engaging them in research, having them become evangelists of research, that stuff has always really amplified my work and my team's work.
Right.
And it's like, how do you find the tastemakers? I don't know. I think it's like you sort of look around. It's do what we do. We observe an environment. You sort of like anthropologically understand. You're like, why is that guy so important? Like,
so the project is like trying to do research on the social dynamics of decision makers and figure out like who's a tastemaker, who's the decision maker, who should we target?
I guess. I mean, you're making it sound really calculated, but I think it's like I fumbled my way into that, where it's like, some of the best examples of this happening to me, like I can think of times at Facebook where, there's just like a really prolific designer. He's just really cool, undeniably cool. He kind of begrudgingly comes along on a research trip and then, ends up being in a room somewhere where he's just like shooting it. And he's like, I was watching these teenagers and, they were complaining about this thing with Snapchat. And so I designed this whole thing over the weekend, and like, isn't research so cool? And it's like, like he just did so much more than I could have done with that insight. And so it's something about like the positioning of how things work, the power dynamic. I think it's like, if you believe it's just totally a utopian society where we like all have equal voices and we should all just like have this equal seat at the table, I think it's just kind of setting you back a little bit from the reality, which is like there are people who are listened to more. It's not, we don't need to debate like if that's right or wrong, but it's like when those people are champions of research because they feel like it's really unlocked and opened up new insights for them, like that's huge. That amplifies all the work.
Yeah. So you used the phrase seat at the table, a thing researchers have been concerned about for some time now.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious your take on like, should we be worried about our seat at the table? Is it the right thing to be thinking about? Like, what does that mean to you?
I just want you to know these are none of the questions that we agreed on. So you're really putting me, this is good. This is good. You're getting really candid stuff here. Seat at the table. Good, Judd, great.
Did I forget to tell you we were going to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool, cool.
Look, I again think this is, if we want to do like a early in the career, what it felt like to where I am now, it's like, yeah, I wanted to be in the fucking room. I always want to be in the room.
Heck
You want to
yes.
be in the room. I want it to come directly from me. Sorry, am I not supposed to swear? That was, sorry.
No, you can
heck
fucking
yes
swear.
to me. Okay. And I still think that matters, and especially like once you're running a team of people, it's like I want my people in the room. I do. I want them to get the context. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. But I go back and forth on the seat of the table. It's like, of course, like in the sort of macro sense, but you can't be in all the rooms, like quite literally at all the times. And that's why I really think about like how do you amplify sort of your advocates who will be in all of the rooms to both, speak up on your behalf and like feed info back to you. Like, this is why I think a lot about like, okay, we're at this conference, it's all researchers, we have a whole track about influence, okay? What other genres, like who of your peers have a conference talking about influence?
To do that?
Right,
yeah.
And it's like, maybe data science, maybe product writing, maybe, it's like, those are your people. Like, I feel very strongly, like, those are my people. Like, if we are sort of at the same place where we're trying to think about influence and advocacy of our work, like partner up. There's a woman who I mentor, we talk through some things and she's usually telling me about some tough situations and I'll say like, well, what does the data scientist think?
Yeah.
She'll say, I don't know who the data scientist is. And I'm like, let's start there because it's like, there are other people in similar spots who also want to be influential in certain ways, who really should know about your work. You should know about their work. Together, you're stronger. I mean, there's like some, I don't know, Avengers metaphor or something I'm missing here, but like, I believe very strongly in, the little guy kind of
Sticking together.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
okay, we have a few minutes left, and I want to get really concrete. Like, this has not been concrete so far. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
So like how do you, so if you're speaking to a room full of researchers and the question is like, how do you actually become influential? Like, what's like the top suggestion from your experience?
We touched on tastemaking.
Yes.
I think that's important. I think it is like, ultimately, you want to be the taste. You want to be the trend. You want to lead it there because you are so of the people, so in touch with the audience that you're trying to provide for, that you're really leading others. But, I think identifying sort of the tastemakers versus the decision makers, how you engage with each of them. I think this sort of idea we talked about with attribution versus influence is important. I think teaming up with the little guys, the other sort of smaller functions and what that can mean.
I feel like another thing you said that's really compelling is the need to be more specific. Like, what are we trying to influence? Not just who, but what. Say more about
it's
that.
true. I mean, I think it's like, are we influencing people or are we influencing product? I think on this meta point of like, if I'm an anthropological studying the environment, it's like, which people in the room am I influencing to make a different decision? But ultimately, like, trying to influence the product, the things we're putting out, having a better product experience that ideally, is good for the company, is good for the business, but like good for the world and good for all these things. So I do think it's like understanding really who are you trying, what is it that we're focused on influencing and being pretty specific about that. Yeah.
I love it. Hannah, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us your advice. Hannah Pledgy, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. So we are now going to take a break, and I would really encourage you to come back. So some of you will get lost in the gauntlet of AI, but you will have an opportunity to ask all of your questions about influence and relationships in a few minutes. So come on back. See you soon.
UX research teams today are under pressure, struggling to reach quality participants, navigating fragmented tools, and constantly being asked to prove impact. But what if you could change that? With Alita, you can access verified participants from your own community or external sample on demand. Get always-on insight into user behavior and evolving trends, and bring qual and quant together in one unified platform. Run unmoderated usability studies across mobile and desktop. Capture real interactions with Think Aloud video and screen recording. Test Figma prototypes to validate ideas early. And uncover how users think with card sorting and tree testing. All powered by an embedded AI research assistant, helping you analyze faster, reduce manual work, and surface insights that actually drive decisions. See how you can level up your research program. Visit alita.com.
Great products start with listening to real people, understanding their needs, their behaviors, what matters to them. But when budgets tighten and timelines shrink, research gets complicated, split across tools and teams. Listna brings it all together. Building a study takes minutes. Mix and match methods across usability tests and surveys, or talk directly to your users through interviews. When you're ready, recruit verified participants from the Listna panel, or bring your own. Built to scale across teams with the controls and flexibility organizations need. Secure, compliant, enterprise-ready. AI that works alongside you, helping you move faster. Turn insights into confident decisions and build products people love. No long-term lock-ins, no complexity. Just thoughtful research tools for teams who put users first. Listna.
And today I'm so excited to announce our official platinum sponsor, Tarek. Take it away, Zach.
Hi, Research Week. I'm Zach, the founder of Tarek. We're incredibly excited to be sponsoring Research Week in a big way this year and are appreciative of learners and the broader research community for welcoming us with open arms. When we started Tarek about a year ago, we spent dozens, if not hundreds of hours talking to researchers in different disciplines, different team sizes, and across the world. Regardless of budgets or what a team looked like, one thing remained consistent throughout all those conversations. People wanted higher quality participants to power the research that you all do. We built Tarek from the ground up with an AI-first approach, introducing things like conversational profiling and AI-led screening that elicit more from participants so we can catch fraud before it reaches you. I'm excited to meet everyone this week, and whether you're in person or virtual, I'd love to connect and learn more about the work that you're doing. Excited for this week, and go learners. See everyone soon.
I'm getting older and I want to do everything I can to stay healthy. I want to be able to go places where I want to go, and I don't want to be stuck in a chair.
You've already touched on privacy and control over your data earlier. Thinking specifically about this onboarding flow, how did you feel while sharing personal health details here?
I think the sharing of personal details, health details, it was very minimal. It didn't make you feel like you were forced to answer or provide extensive details.
a little lame, I'm not going to lie. All right, listen, if you grab some lunch, feel free to come and sit. We're going to have like a quick 30 minutes of conversation with our panelists. So if you'd like to join us, we welcome you. If you've already got some lunch, there are some seats here. Feel free to eat your lunch while we chat. But I'd like to welcome back to the stage our panelists, Hannah, Jess, and Reeba. Please help me welcome them back. All right, have a seat. Let's see, do we have some mic runners in the crowds? We do. We do have some folks who are going to run mics, right? Great. Fantastic. Cool. Welcome. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for being here again. So we're just going to do some quick Q&A. And so if you have a question or a comment or a thought starter, we want to hear it from you. Think about it. I'm going to ask the first question, but this is my first and last question. So after this, we want to hear from you. So after this question, just like think through, raise a hand, and we'll have a mic come to you. But I'm going to ask the first question, so because I'm really contradicting myself. I know I said we weren't going to talk about AI, but I do want to ask a question, which is, do you think our job, the job of relationships and influence, is any different in this age of AI that we live in? Maybe the answer is yes, no. I'm curious what you think about that. Is the AI in research changing our job and how we have to be relational, influencing folks at all? What do you think?
Jess?
Jess?
Yeah, sure. I'll start us off. Kind of like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think it's interesting because in a lot of ways, we don't have to influence in the traditional ways because one, we can just make something or we can make a prototype of something very quickly. But then on the other side is it can be like very splintering in the influence strategy because it used to be, okay, I'm going to do this one big study and I'm going to really push it and try to influence all these people based on it. But now it's like, well, I have 5 studies going right now.
Right.
Now I have like all these different people I'm trying to influence, and there's no way I can actually maintain like keeping up with did I influence them or not. It's just the product becomes the truth. So it's weird. It's like in some ways we have to influence less, and in others it becomes this influencing way more and like micro influencing all over the place.
Right.
I would also add there's different, like the whole process is changing, not just the aspects of how research is showing up. And so for example, more and more people are starting with a prototype versus a PRD or some sort of product requirement doc, right? And those are the places where you can see typically that they're pulling in customer insights or where research is showing up and where you have a little bit more of a sense of have they done the due diligence to inform this based on what we know. And so if you're moving into a place where everything is just flowing more quickly and certain parts of the process are having differently, research has to figure out where we play a role and also be much more nimble, I think. And similar to what you were saying before, like the method of sharing insights is changing. We're also playing around with some of the different kind of like sites that are interactive for people to engage with insights. And there's also, I think, a little bit more pressure to, like, since some functions are speeding up and able to do things even more quickly than we might be, more pressure is up at the top of the funnel for that problem understanding. So, like, how can you, at the same time you're running a study, be thinking about the bigger implications, but also funnel the things you found that should be addressed immediately into that flow to get, whether it's your team designing the fix or making sure that something is automatically getting piped to people that can take it on quickly. I think there's a lot of opportunity to actually, accelerate addressing issues.
What I love about that, I feel like AI is forcing us to do things we maybe should have been doing all along, right? Like because of the speed and the volume, anybody can make a prototype. But what you just said, I'm like, yeah, shouldn't we have been doing that the whole time? Funnel stuff to people, think of the big picture and the small people, make it real, make a prototype. Like, we should have been doing that the whole time, and now we have to, is what I would argue. Okay, that was our starter question, and I wonder, who out there has a question or a thought about influence research? Okay, front row, let's get started. Thank you. Thank you for getting us started.
Hello. Thanks so much for kicking it off with that thoughtful question. The echo on this mic is
crazy.
Really disconcerting, so bear with me here. I wanted to follow up on it a little bit. I really like this idea of micro-influencing. So I've started dabbling with turning research insights into interactive prototypes. And I think that's a really exciting way to move forward. But as we all know, we in UXR have always had to advocate for ourselves, and we've always had to find ways to kind of document it and quantify our impact. And I'm curious about what you see as the next phase of that. What does that look like now, given that the way in which we're influencing is a little bit maybe more distributed or fuzzier?
Yeah. Hannah, how have you approached like that challenge of documenting impact? And do you feel like it's any different in this world where we're producing so much all the time? Like, how do we just count up all the things? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. My brain's kind of on fire with that question. I think, I feel sort of like the Luddite on the panel about this because I'm a little bit, I've been out of the game for a bit, but I would say that I feel like a documentarian as I'm doing my work, so I capture everything. I take screenshots the whole way along the way. I'm the person who takes the pictures of behind the scenes of every interaction. I get the screenshot of everything. It's just like, you never know when it will be good to attach like proof that you were part of the initial idea of a thing. I think that's sort of a pedantic answer, but like I believe in documenting your process along the way. I feel like I don't actually have like an amazing answer for this. Do you, like for what she's saying, like if we're kind of like all doing it, how does it track back to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a tactic that I've been using a little bit is now that it's easier to just talk into your device and kind of have something else documenting something. Some of the things that have changed have been a little bit more about how I'm impact tracking and trying to resurface that with the team. So for example, it can look across my messages within Slack or my Notion documents and where we're commenting back and forth, but I can also do these quick downloads like, here's what I'm hearing today, here's the things that I think are changing for us, here's some things I think we need to do, and then and helping me summarize along the way the things that I want to make sure that I'm surfacing and pushing back to certain team members or stakeholders, people that are helping to make headcount decisions. But I also do think, and I'm working at an organization where there's a lot of democratized research happening with fewer guardrails than are probably ideal. We're still in a situation where we're trying to raise the floor on that. And now, actually, I think one of the ways that we can raise the floor without everyone is applying AI to research like crazy, and the researchers are being a little bit more methodical and thoughtful about it, of course, because we're like, that's not, here's what's crap, here's what's not. But now, because we know everyone else is doing it, we can actually put out tools and skills that do some quality control that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise been doing. And I think we're having a little bit of a moment too where people are looking to us to say, how do we use these kinds of things? So those are some things that our team is starting to talk about, but it really feels like we're just at the beginning of this journey. So yeah, and I'm also curious to hear from Jess with that.
Yeah, a big plus one on that. So internally, we're starting to use an equivalent of OpenClaw, which is your own personal little AI that goes and does work stuff for you. And one of the reasons I really like this is do the AI to measure the AI is so now you could literally just prompt it to say, every week I want you to go and scour all the communication channels and understand where my research was valuable. Here's who I am, here's my research. And the thing I like about that is it takes care of an old problem. This isn't a new problem. Researchers have always been like, I can't keep track of everything.
Yep.
It would be so great if I had something to help me keep track of everything. And I think that's going to be one big thing. I think a second big thing is we are going to be pulled into developer metrics for a bit. So it will be how many PRs did you create, and how many are in prod, and all these things. We've all been pulled into command line, CLIs and stuff. It's a very weird time, but I think because those metrics of influence are already established, we're going to get pulled into that. But then everyone's going to realize it's not about the number of PRs; it's about the product impact.
Yep.
And so we're going to get pulled back. There's these interesting, really weird metrics that are then happening because of the resource constraints. And so we're talking about user value per GPU. So it's if that's the scarcest thing, it's oh, well, I delivered this much this much user value based on like little compute, which is like very valuable in this time.
We're getting user value per GPU. Ooh. Yeah. Fascinating modern world we live in. Thank you for that question. What other questions we have? We got one in the front and then one in the back. Let's queue up the one in the back. And then you'll be next. Thank you.
Hi.
Stand up if you would.
Oh, do you want me to stand
Yeah, stand up.
Hi. My question is about when you lose influence. So I think we've all been in a position where we did a research study that didn't go very well. Also, the echo is really crazy. Or we might have messed something up with a stakeholder. So I'm wondering if you guys have any strategies that you can share, any experiences that you can share where you successfully or not so successfully reclaimed that influence.
Great question. Thank you. Nope.
Thinking this is hard.
It's over. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I'll say a few things to buy them some time. I think this idea of needing to rehab influence, again, I come back to the fact that I think this discipline is somehow held to a much higher standard than a lot of other disciplines who also make mistakes and who also like maybe don't have their best project every project. So just like, I want to normalize that like, it shouldn't be that stressful that like every single project needs to like hit it out of the park. Ideally it does, I get it. But you know, I think I've probably experienced this a bit more as a manager of researchers, where it's like, you pump them up, you send them in there, send them out there. It's maybe a stakeholder who like you've had previously a great relationship, good experience, the ground's softened and it like flops. And that can be really tricky because it sort of reflects on the individual, but also on the larger discipline. And so like, I think inherent in your question is like this spiral of like, oh shit, like all that work, all that time to sort of get there. And then it's like one project. It's like to have it be sort of that fragile is really sort of stressful. Now, am I naming a thing without a solution? Yes. Like where have I feel like I've come back from that? I kind of haven't. It's sort of hard. I think that, it's precarious, like the degree to which we are trusted until otherwise shown to be human.
Yeah, but none of us claim to be infallible, right? Like, so maybe we just, you know, one way to think of it is humility, right? Like, none of us claim that we have all the answers or that we're getting it right all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's also just degrees of this too, because it's like, it's a perception that it wasn't a good study or that didn't go well, or was it like actually like you went out there, you made a big recommendation, they listened, you shipped it, and then it went poorly. And it's like, it's almost never that.
Yeah.
It's almost more usually like, just like, no, this was, you didn't understand, you don't understand enough context, you blew it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's lame.
Well said. Okay, let's just keep it rolling. Yeah, we got somebody in the front row here. Thank you for that question. Think it's on? Go ahead.
Hello. Hi. My name is Hamza. I'm an early career IC. So I'm pretty sold on the fact that influence is our currency as researchers. But one thing I struggle in answering like every quarter is, have I been influential? And it's very researcher of me to say, like, how do I go around measuring that? Especially now that anyone at the organization can use AI tools to look up research and everything. So curious to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that this is tied to this, like, how should I measure my impact? I need to measure my impact for my reviews and everything like that. And I'm a big believer in like research. Research actually is only smaller research is measurable, because big research impact is like transformational. And it's just like shifted how everyone even thinks about the product, or like it completely rewrote everything we're doing. And so it's almost like resistant to measurement in a way. And sometimes it's like you change the culture of the team. Like, yeah, I didn't have a metric, I didn't baseline beforehand or whatever. And also if it's transformational, it'll be undeniable. So it's funny, I actually think we should rely more on like feedback from our peers. Because, you know, it can be like, oh, I did this much research and I changed these things, but like really what's matter is like super influential PM big deal person loves you and asks you for research all the time and uses all your research. I'm like, we're good. Like, we're good on that.
Yeah, +1 to that. And it reminds me a little bit about what you were saying about tastemakers too, where there's actual individual insights that you see being addressed, and that's the kind of easier to measure piece where you can see how something went from a study into the product. But there's also the sense of demands that you feel, hearing other people speak about problems that you've surfaced through your work, or advocating for research in certain rooms. And so I think it is the best advice I can give, especially if you can't just go and search the entire Slack history or something to see where something is going through. It's like, again, make notes about the things that you're seeing and experiencing, not just the insights being pushed through, but how people are interacting with you and how they're interacting with your work and with the things that you're pushing for. Speed of decisions, customer orientation, and then also, essentially freeing yourself a little bit to being tied too closely to the things that are more tactical. That's just one piece of advice.
Love it. Thank you. Great question. Thank you so much. Okay, we have all the way over on the right, and then we'll come back to the middle. So let's start all the way over on the right. Thank you for your question.
Thanks. So we've talked a lot at the conference about the use of AI as part of our research practices and how to become more efficient and stuff like that. I wanted to see if you have any opinions on a slightly different take on it, which is AI gives us this conversational ability to talk to computers and have them talk back. And I'm wondering, how do we think that's going to change the rules of a good experience? What's it like when you're relating to a computer rather than treating it just like a tool that you're giving commands to? Any thoughts on like how that evolves, and also what we should be thinking about that in terms of what we test?
Panelists?
They're deep, good questions.
I mean, yeah, this, it's very Rheingold, like tools for thought level things. I mean, I think at first it comes back to the mental model of like, what is the right mental model for this use? And we have a lot of gravity into the anthropomorphizing right now, which I actually think is more nuanced than it's good or bad. But I think that first it just starts with, is the mental model for this thing a tool that I pick up and I use in the world, or is it a thing that I'm interacting with? I think another part that's been really fascinating to see as we've done a lot of work on response quality evals is that if the substrate of interaction is language, nothing changes faster than language. And I don't think we've really dealt with that yet. So when we look at like what is a good response from a model, that changes very quickly because people habituate to it. So that's why everyone hates the, it's not X, it's Y, like output or whatever it is that you get. But that was a super good output before it was overdone a zillion times. And we haven't had to deal with something, it's like a product that moves at the pace of content. And we haven't really had to like grapple with that. And I actually don't think we have exactly the measurement systems and the research set up to do that at speed.
Yeah. And I'm gonna connect this question back to the topic of influence for a second and say one thing that I have benefited from is remembering that so much of what we've all talked about in terms of relationship and influence is about communication. It turns out you can talk to Claude about that. Like I have actually role-played conversations, especially difficult conversations with my AI. You can give it a persona, you can get, I'm not saying that it's going to interact in the way a human does, but I am saying it often can give you a head start on a difficult conversation that you wouldn't otherwise have. So I realize that's a little departure from the question, but.
Can I add something though? Is like, that's like a use case that popped up super early. And it's really interesting how people react, because some people are like, oh my God, they used AI to like react to the news that a family member died or something like that. And they're like, that's so messed up and inhuman. I'm like, I see complete vulnerability in somebody who didn't know how to handle a situation that they wanted to, and they're trying really hard. But those are some of the use cases that took a hold like really early. A hard conversation at work, hard conversation at home. And I actually think it reveals a lot of care and kind of like fragility in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I just did this the other day because we're in the middle of planning for the next half and making headcount requests and things like that. And I've put in a lot of thought to a head count that I'd really like for our team that I think could really like step change the way that we're able to do things. And I've written up documents and shared all kinds of what I think is super cogent logic about why this makes sense. And I've presented this in different ways, and and so I was about to go into yet another conversation with someone who I think is on my side with this, but I'm looking to them to help really demystify the black box of wherever this headcount request goes, and like what is the path to alignment. And so I pulled up a non-work Claude account, and I was just like, listen, I'm logicking the hell out of this document, and these other things are true too, like they're trying to keep headcount flat, et cetera. And I was like, do you have any suggestions just at this moment, just anything else I should try? And they're like, oh, that makes so much sense, and of course they tell me what I'm saying makes sense because that's what they're trying to do. But it actually kind of called out a different way of approaching the conversation and saying like, essentially recognizing some of the structural blockers and being plain and saying, we don't need to talk about the logic anymore because I think you get that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But let's talk a little bit more about how to approach the structural blockers and prove that there's a cost to not doing this. And it was just, I don't know, very quickly it gave me a different way of thinking about something that I hadn't before. And the way that my manager kind of shifted gears when I brought this problem to him in this way was better than I anticipated.
It's a human thing, you know? Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Let's go to the middle here. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Laura, and yes, the echo. I wanted to follow up on something that you said, Rebecca, about democratizing research and how you've been doing that a lot. My team is currently spending the quarter trying to stand up a robust program that's truly self-service, because what we've historically found is that self-service ends up taking a lot of our time. Because research, as it turns out, is a skill that a lot of people don't have. So I'm just really curious to hear more about what you've found success with, how you're leveraging AI, and how you're still maintaining influence when you're not necessarily the person doing the work.
Yeah, they're really good questions. It's such a tricky topic, and so something our organization has had democratized research for a while, and also real resistance on the part of other leaders, other functional leaders, for our team to do any kind of gatekeeping or guardrails. In fact, it's been a point of contention with people who were in my role prior to me, and I think it could honestly explain like some degree of turnover there. And so AI has just kind of poured the gas on some of this to some extent, because you have other roles who are able to, again, optimize more of their time better. And then what are they doing with their free time? Building synthetic users, using CX and sales calls, not with research input. Or as I saw recently, a research skill that synthesizes everything we know about a certain topic. And it's some of it's terrifying, but you have to kind of, essentially where we are now is, first, like, our team has been using AI, everyone is using it, but I think there was a point at which we were like, hey, let's take some time to just invest in ourselves and make sure that we feel like we are doing the best by ourselves to get in there. And so we took some time for our team to basically put the oxygen masks on first and say, don't worry about building anything for anyone else. Just think about your own workflows and everything that you want to do to get a few steps ahead with this. And then we'll worry about that. So I think there is part of it is like, don't freak out about the other things that are happening around you, because they're going to happen anyway, and just make sure that you are doing what you need to for yourselves. But also, I think there was a lot of things that taking that time to do that started to show us this is actually a little bit easier than we thought. It wasn't, some of the technical hurdles weren't as great as we thought. And now we know that there are some clear things that we can do that will help us put some skills out there and essentially require use of those by other people doing these things. So they're not just sending transcripts straight into ChatGPT and getting syntheses out on the other side. They're using effective prompting through skills we've created. So we're trying to do these things, and I think people are looking to us also for some degree of input now. But we also have to kind of proactively be asking how are these other functions doing things and trying to insert ourselves there. So it's really challenging, but I think again, focus on what your team needs to do for themselves, and then you're going to see opportunities for other things that you can bring to the rest of the organization.
Can I build on it really quickly? I just want to add to that, done multiple versions of like research universities. There's always been like this push for like help make it easy for everyone. And I'll tell you an analogy that's helped me like not lose a lot of sleep over this, which is I think about it as like the food that people are being fed. So I think of it as like, cool, I'm gonna put together this system that like anybody in the company can go and do some research. And I think to myself, like, it's probably gonna be like Twinkies and Cheetos. Like, it's like, it'll feed you. It's gonna be like junk food. My team, our job is to put out steak and like Michelin star like meals with like drizzles on top, you know, like cool shit. And so my job is not to keep you from eating junk food. It is though to keep you from eating something poisonous. So it's like, I keep an eye on the stuff that comes through, but it's like, if it's junk food, like it's fine. If it just like made this PM feel a little bit better about the thing they're doing, cool. But if it's like straight up lying, detrimental bullshit, I'm gonna stand up and like use my sort of quarterly veto card and just be like, just so we're clear, like that wasn't research.
Don't eat that mushroom.
Like I don't support that. So maybe like if that analogy brings you any comfort, it sort of helped me get through the like letting go of some of the preciousness of needs to come from us.
I love that analogy, and this is like a perfect example of a thing which is a new flavor of an age-old problem, isn't it? Like we've always had this problem, but it has new dimensions now, for sure. Okay, we have time for a couple more questions if you got them. All right, we're gonna go back here. Where are we going? Okay, fine, yeah, we got run. Okay, over here, let's do it, and then we'll go into the back.
Hey folks, Kyle here. I love the food analogy, by the way, that's great. My question for you, personally I see our roles changing a lot in how we show up, what we do, how we work. I'm very curious at your seats at the table, what are you seeing as the most successful traits, behaviors, skills in the researchers that are having the most impact in your orgs, if that's changed at all?
Jess, is it different now? Are the skills that make a researcher successful different in whatever, May 2026 than they were a year or 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think that none of the fundamentals change, right? Like our secret weapon is that we're curious and okay not knowing the answer and we'll figure it out. And then the people that have been doing really well have stick with those fundamentals, like stick with what matters, stick with the business, all these. And then the people that are really willing to experiment and thoughtfully adopt the AI tools. So not the jamming in, not the like you must, but they look at it and they find a place. And so across our team, I'm pretty sure every single person uses AI in their workflow to some degree now, but in very different ways, in unforced ways. And then I think the other superpower there is the sharing among a team, because that's what will happen on our team is like somebody will kind of do something and they're almost always like, now they're better, but they're almost always like afraid to share it because they think it's lame. And I'm like, it's not lame, or it's lame, but it's okay. We need more lameness to like spread around and like, and so then it kind of catches fire and then people go, oh, well, I want that, but I don't want it here. And I think that's really accelerated some folks. But again, it's like, it's that thoughtfulness. It's that like, well, what am I getting out of this? And is it actually better versus more, or it's like more activity, but it's not actually more result or anything like that?
Yeah, I strongly agree. Like fundamentals are the same, the curious mindset, the experimenting, the flexibility. And that's not just about, it applies to a lot of different things, including like what kinds of ways you want to set up and enable ongoing customer connection and things like that. And so I think people who are kind of just going out and trying things out and then bringing that back has been really helpful to both kind of show their teams and run with their teams at a certain level of pace, but then also bring those things back and the rest of the team members can kind of yes and it and build off of it.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, can I just...
Yeah, please. Final thought.
One more thing, though, that I think is actually really important. This will become a separator of people. is people that can run the self-improvement loop with the AI. And that is the thing where you go, I did this study, review what I did in this study, and suggest ways I could do it better next time. And you run the self-improvement loop, that's going to be something that I think we'll start to see separation between what people are able to accomplish, because you're going to have this compounding effect there. So I think that's the thing that's emerging right now.
Powerful. We are unfortunately out of time. Please help me thank our amazing panelists for all their thoughts. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
You can go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back and your amazing questions. Appreciate you. We're about to have lunch, but we have one more amazing sponsor to hear from before we get there. So please come on up.
Hello, everybody. I know I am the last thing separating you from lunch, so we'll make it a little more interactive, a little more fun, and it'll be fast. Okay. So raise your hand if you do research. All right. And keep your hand raised if you still manage your participants in a spreadsheet like this. All right. Well, this spreadsheet is just where it starts. Then you send invitations, sort through screener responses, juggle calendars and consent forms, then send incentives one at a time. This is the job right now. 5 tools, none of them talking to each other, and hours wasted on manual work. Now, keep your hand up if you're also using AI somewhere in your process, anywhere. All right, so why is your recruitment stack stuck in 2015 while the rest of your work is in the future? Recruiting is hard. It's one of the most important tasks in research, and it's the one that depends on everything downstream. If you can't get to the right people, none of the rest matters. I'm Oren, co-founder and CEO of Rally. We started 4 years ago as the user research CRM and have spent a lot of this time building the participant infrastructure that makes recruitment possible at scale for teams like you see above. This week, we're bringing that infrastructure into the future and launching the Rally MCP. So this means you can now run recruitment from inside Claude or whatever AI tool you already work in. You or a PM on your team can type in, I want to talk to 5 enterprise customers using our billing feature next week, and Rally and our agents will find them, screen them, book them, send incentive, and then help you with analysis and insights after. So recruitment doesn't have to be the thing slowing you down anymore. It can be the part of your stack that helps you actually get ahead. Come find us at the booth, by the coffee station, can't miss us, and I'd love to show you how you can say goodbye to manual recruitment. Thank you.
Listening to humans is at the core of research. We built Outset to help researchers listen to more humans than ever before, and at a speed that was never before possible. But listening is only half the job. The other half is seeing. And unfortunately, AI moderators can't see. Until now. We're launching visual intelligence. This brings entirely new capabilities to Outset's AI-moderated interviews. This includes digital intelligence, physical intelligence, and emotional intelligence. And all of this enables deeper, more dynamic interviews and the most powerful AI analysis ever. Take these examples. With usability tests, our digital intelligence actually sees the user's behavior, whether you're testing designs or live products. It can understand their click paths, sense moments of confusion, identify points of friction, and finally close the gap between what people say and what they actually do.
You're spending a lot of time clicking on the voices of SF quotes. Why is that?
Want to see how people behave in the real world? Our physical intelligence means that AI can watch consumers interact with your product, follow them along as they shop, and observe the environment around them, so you can better design for the human experience. If you're testing ads, you want to understand how people react to each. Our emotional intelligence doesn't just listen to verbal cues. It can understand people's facial reactions and their tone, so you can identify which ads hit the mark and which fall flat. And Outset's AI moderator doesn't just make observations. It asks dynamic follow-ups based on those verbal cues to dig deeper, and then synthesizes all of that data to give you the insights you really need. By listening to what users say and observing what they do at the same time, you can more confidently understand how your customers think, react, and even behave. So you can build better products and make better business decisions, all with humans at the core. The next wave of AI moderation doesn't just listen, it sees. And now it's here.
Market research gives you the data, but does it always give you clarity? Meet Research HX. Now with purpose-built market research agents. Streamline setup, reduce rework, and cut time to insight in half. Let agents analyze your reports in seconds. Sharpen your narrative and turn data into stories. Give stakeholders the insights they need when they need it. Meet the AI agents built for market researchers. Discover Research HX.
As a quantity by trade, I love MagStiff. It's been the method behind some of the most impactful work of my whole career, but it's always had a gap. After the ranking, our AI moderator asks participants why something rose to the top, why something else didn't resonate, and everything in between, probing deeper to get to the real insight. MagStiff tells you what people prefer. Conveyor MagStiff tells you why.
Just ask a question in the Analyze tab, and Conveyor runs thematic analysis across every open-ended response. Click into any item, and you'll hear participants explain their choice in their own words.
We're a team of researchers building for researchers, and this is just the beginning. And that is why I joined the company.